Okay, let's try this again. You guys have to just give me a second till this connects.
Hey, Pooja, how are you?
Hi! It's finally happened.
Awesome, awesome.
I,
I
I
know.
can't
Thank
see
you
you.
so.
I mean, can everyone see you? I can't see you right now. It still says waiting. But
Oh,
I can hear
really?
you.
Can you hear
Yeah,
me?
but I can,
That's
yeah,
so
I can hear you.
strange. That's so weird. That's
Yeah,
so
that
weird.
is. Um, it says, hello? Yes.
Okay, third time lucky. Can you
Oh,
see me?
finally, yes, I can see
Yes.
you. Amazing. That's great.
Thank you so much for your patience. I'm so
Oh,
grateful to you. Thank you so much. You're amazing. You're so wonderful. Thank you for keep
thank you.
trying to be so persistent.
No, but that's, I mean, I've been wanting to do this because I requested a couple of days because I actually wanted to read the book. And I have to say, great cover photo, by the way. But I am great that I could do this, and thank you so much because I just feel that you've been really inspiring, and it's amazing that you've been able to really uh, share your learning with us. And having had been to an ashram yourself, to come and share with us today, writing this book today, which is absolutely wonderful. I have to say, I've thoroughly enjoyed the book. I think it's so precise, and it's so in terms of, I love reading books, and I love reading a lot of self-help books, and I always, end up reading a couple of books, and I'm like, okay, but how do I actually change my life? How do I action it out? And I love that you've given so many little activities for us to do, to self introspect. So I decided that this live is going to be great because I have a couple of questions for you.
Perfect, perfect. Thank you
And
so much, Pooja. And thank you for taking the time to read it. It means so much to me, honestly.
it's amazing. Okay, so I'm gonna go straight to the questions if that's
Yeah.
okay with you. Okay, so first I would like you to just share about, like, what made you want to become a monk?
Yeah, good question. So I was born and raised in London, and I think I met the first ever monk I met. I was 18 years old, and I didn't really meet monks before that, and I didn't really know what they did, and I really didn't know much about their life. But when I met this
Right.
monk at 18, it had a really profound impact on my life because now when I look back in hindsight, when I was 18, I'd met people that were rich, I'd met people that were famous, I'd met people that were beautiful and attractive. I'd met people that were knowledgeable and smart, but I don't think I'd met anyone who was truly happy and joyful. And he exuded that naturally. And I thought, well, that must be, there must be something about this person that he's doing that makes that possible. And at
Yeah,
18 years old, I just got captivated by that and wanted to pursue that and learn more about it.
that's amazing. So it was like, what's the magic juice there on? You wanted some of that.
Yeah, exactly,
Yeah.
exactly.
And you've studied business?
Yeah, I studied management science at university, at Cass Business School. And
Right,
so that's where I
business.
studied for 3 years.
Wow, that's amazing. And so you became a monk, but you coexisted with your regular normal life.
Not only between the age of 18 to 22 when I was a monk. At that,
Right.
between that time, I was traveling in my summer holidays and my Christmas holidays. I would come
Correct.
to India, but then when I
Yeah.
graduated, then I actually officially became a monk for 3 years.
So how does it, how did you, and then now you're back again to, I would say the monk mindset.
Yes,
So how do you coexist? How
yes.
do you coexist between these two things?
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great question. So I think for all of us in our daily lives, we all have
Yeah.
to go to work. We all have bills to pay. We have families. We have responsibilities. But in that, we can also get very rushed and hurried and tired and fatigued. And even sometimes we can have a lot of anxiety and pressure. And so the monk mindset really exists. The monk mindset really exists to help us find calmness in difficult times, to help us find stillness in troubled times. So how it coexists is by continuing to do what we do, but changing our mind and changing our thoughts and changing how we process thoughts. So we can coexist in two places because we're allowing our mind to be wired by all of the wisdom, and then we continue to do the same work that we do. We wear the same clothes. You don't have to shave your hair or wear robes, or you don't have to
Yeah.
trade your life. You can do all those things, but we're going to do it with a different mindset and a different attitude.
Right. So, you talk a lot about, and like you spoke about right now about anxiety, and I myself have this thing of overthinking things and being anxious about things. So, what would you suggest is like the best way to deal with it?
Absolutely. Overthinking and procrastination are probably two of the biggest things right now. So I think that's a really,
Yeah.
really important question. I'd say the reason why we overthink is because we don't have enough real insight and research on the topic. So I'll give you an example. If I woke up today and there was a rash on my arm and I decide to overthink and I decide to diagnose myself using Google, I may end up believing that I have the worst disease on the planet.
True.
But if I go to a doctor or I go to a physician, then they'll be able to tell me, oh, this is some skin thing, whatever it is. I'm not a doctor, so I have no idea. But they may be able to diagnose it differently. So similarly, with our mind, if we sit there and we just try to overthink, we can start thinking so many negative thoughts. But if we
Yeah.
approach a coach, if we approach a therapist, if we approach a teacher, if we approach a guide, if we approach books, if we approach podcasts, all of this content can actually give us insight about what we're struggling on. So it's easier
Yeah.
to go to research and learn about the subject than it is to try and make up your own mind about it.
That's true, and I think that
And
really helps because, sorry.
no, I was just saying that. And the challenge we have is that schools never taught us about how to manage our mind. So
Yeah.
it's crazy that we learned about everything. We learned about maths and geography and history and all of
Yeah.
this stuff, calculus, but we were never trained in the one thing that all of us have, is how to manage our mind and emotions. And so no one
True.
can be blamed for it. We shouldn't judge ourselves. We shouldn't be upset that we overthink and procrastinate. But now we have to go to that school that helps us learn about it.
True. True. I always believe that schools should add another subject in their curriculum, which is meditation.
Mm.
Because I just feel that if you inculcate the culture of meditation in your life, as important as brushing your teeth, like you take a shower every day, you brush your teeth, but you're not really cleansing your mind.
Yeah, exactly.
And I think that meditation helps you do that. And you talk a lot about breath work in your book, which I personally feel can really be transformational. And the little small things that you talk about, like, I mean, I would let you, why don't you talk about it, like how
No,
breath
you
work is
talking
doing.
about it is much better. You talking about it is much better. You're gonna
No, we
inspire
have you.
you're going to
No, I
inspire
just,
so many people.
no, I think it's great because like you said, when we are anxious, our breath reacts in a different way. When we're sad, when we're angry, we tend to hold our breath or we tend to hyperventilate. And I think that it could also have the the other effect, right? In terms of that, if you learn how to control your breath, does it work that way? If you learn how to control your breath, you can actually change your mindset.
Yeah, absolutely. So
Yeah.
the good thing about our breath is that it makes the emotion tangible. Like it makes it feel real because everything's going on up here, but
Yeah.
actually our breath also changes. So if you think about it, we always say things like, I'm trying to catch my breath, or wait a minute, I need to take a breath. Or
Yeah.
even in positive emotions, we say things like, he or she took my breath away.
That's
Or
true.
is it, or isn't he or she breathtaking, right? Like we also talk
Yeah.
about it in a positive sense. And so our breath is linked to every emotion. Every
Right.
feeling is linked to breath. And so if we learn to monitor our breath, so I'll give you an example. When I feel nervous, and I get nervous too, and when I feel anxious, and
Yeah.
when I feel like I'm rushing, and that's probably the most common one, when you feel like you're just rushing to the next meeting, rushing to the next event, getting ready for the next dinner, getting ready for the next meeting, whatever, Zoom meeting, whatever it may be right now. I just do this simple breathing practice where I breathe in for a count of 4 and I
Right.
breathe out for more than 4. So you breathe
Okay.
in for 4 and out for more than 4, and it just relaxes you straight down. And so a
Yeah.
simple technique like that, I do it 3 times, 6 times, 9 times, and you'll just start to see your whole body change, your physiology changes.
Right. So this is something that's really simple, and what I like you said that you can do it anywhere. You can do it on the way
Anyway,
to work. You
yeah.
can, yeah, and like I always think that the biggest superpower that you can ever have is being in the now.
Hmm.
And it sounds really simple. It sounds like, oh, you like you said, you do it only like 8 or 9 times, and it helps you, but it can be challenging when you start.
Yes.
Like, when I started doing yoga, and in the start they tell you to meditate. I find my mind wandering so much.
Yeah.
And it's just like 2 minutes, so
Yeah.
so do you suggest like start how important is it though?
So meditation has so many benefits, from synergy in the mind to rewiring your brain to boosting your mood to feeling more clarity. And the best way I can explain it is, let's say you feel you don't have time. Let's say you say, I don't have 10 to 20 minutes to meditate. What ends up happening is you run around, you get really, really stressed, and then you finally turn up to that meeting and everyone now feels your energy that you're stressed. And that energy is contagious. Now, let's
Yeah.
say you took that 10 or 20 minutes to
Yeah.
meditate, and
Yeah.
now you come to the meeting. Now you're so calm and you have so much clarity that you can actually help everyone in that room solve whatever they're trying to solve much quicker. And so
Right.
meditation gives you clarity that actually saves you time, money, energy, conflict, all the issues. And so that 10 or 20 minutes makes a difference. But now, what you're saying with the mind calming down, it
Right.
takes time to learn for the mind to calm down. So you can't calm the mind down in 2 or 3 minutes in a meditation. It requires a bit more time. And the reason
Yeah.
why that's important is because you'll get quicker and quicker and quicker. It's like if you're running or doing a gym
Yeah.
workout, you get
Yeah.
better and better and better at that workout every time you do it. So if you're running 100 meters every day, you get
Yeah.
quicker and quicker and quicker every day. And so same with meditation, that you can slow your mind down faster every day when you keep it consistent. And so just taking out 10 to 20 minutes a day to just
Right.
sit with the mind, let it be loud, and then watch it just become quieter and quieter, quieter. Don't try and make it quieter. Just let it
Yeah.
naturally calm down.
Right. And I think concentrating on your breath kind of brings you back in case you end
Yes.
up, wandering. So that's great. Also, I was thinking about like today we live in a world where, there is so much negativity, when we go on social media, and especially with the times we are in now with the pandemic and what's happening in India. It's like, you go on social media and then there's just so much, right? There's trolls and all of that. And how do you deal with that?
Yeah, I think first of all, I think it's really, really important with with specifically in terms of dealing with the negativity on social media, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think first of all, we have to remember that there's also so much positivity. So I'll give you, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Hey,
Yeah.
Bridget,
I can hear
sorry.
you now.
Yeah, okay, great. So I was just saying that if
Yeah.
you think about, let's say you get ready to go to an event, and I'm just using the event to represent social media. Let's say you go to an event
Right.
and 9 out of 10 people tell you you look wonderful. And they say they love your dress, they say they love your shoes, they say they love your earrings, they say they love your bag and your hair. And then one person at the party says to you, "Oh, you look a bit tired today. Oh,
Yeah.
you don't, there's something about you that's just not working today." You go
Yeah.
home and you think about that one person more than you think about the other 9 people. And so really change that, even on social media. The only way to change that, even on social
Right.
media, when we see the good things, we just ignore them. And so
Yeah.
we remember, if you see a good comment, you just go, "Oh yeah, yeah, of course, of course. Oh yeah, yeah, of course, of course. Oh yeah, yeah, of course." And then you see a negative comment and you think, "Oh no, this is my life." And so we remember the bad times more than the good times, because when
Yeah.
something goes wrong, we cry for a month, and when something's good, we celebrate for a day. and
That's
and we
true.
see that in our life all the time. And so the way to deal with negativity is really activity in your life, really appreciate it. And then sometimes criticism or negativity can actually help us with feedback. So if it can help us with feedback, if we can improve ourselves, then we should try and
Yeah.
improve ourselves from it as well.
Right. I mean, if it's constructive criticism.
Correct. If it's
Right.
constructive, if it's useful, then we should definitely try and improve ourselves.
So, do you think that it also stems from like a lack of gratitude?
Yeah, it stems from a lack of not even gratitude. You're right, it's on the right path, but it's just what you said before. It's just being present and appreciating
Yeah.
the positivity. So it's almost like we don't allow the positivity in a deep way. We
Right.
read a comment that says you look nice today, or we read a comment that says you're so smart, or we read a comment that says this really touched me or meant something to me, and we read it and we just think of it as irrelevant almost. And then as
Yeah.
soon as you see that negative criticism, you go, "Oh no, this is my truth, this is my reality." And so it's so important that we deeply allow each positive message to be received in our heart, especially if
Right.
it's something deep about us.
Right. Yeah. That's so true, though. That is true. I'm guilty as charged for probably
Me
doing that
too. Me
myself.
too. I do the same. I do the same. And I realize that I really have, like today, you said so many kind, wonderful things about my book. It's so easy for me to gloss over them. But
Right.
when someone says that, what I try and do, and this is a beautiful thing you can do, whenever someone says something good about you, sometimes we
Yeah.
feel uncomfortable because we feel, "Oh no,
Yeah.
I should be modest, or I should be humble, or what do I do?"
Right.
So when someone says something nice about you, this is what we were taught to do as monks. When someone says something nice to you, think of the person that gave you that quality and pass on that thanks to them. So receive the thanks from the person giving you thanks. So you said to me, "Jay, I really like your book. I think it's wonderful." So I received that. And then I thought of all my teachers that have helped me learn those principles. And I just thought of them in my heart and I passed on all that thanks to them. And
Oh,
and
wow, that's amazing. Yeah, that's great because that happens to me where someone will compliment me and I kind of brush it off.
yeah,
I don't know why that happens, but it just does, and that's amazing. That's it's a great way to accept and yeah, give gratitude even in the smaller things in life.
yeah. So you may think of your parents, you may think of your teachers, you may think of your family, and actually you can even think of someone who indirectly gave you that quality. Maybe they hurt you. Maybe someone hurt you, and because of that, you became a better person. You can even thank them in that situation.
Yeah, that's so true. Wow, that's amazing.
Oh,
But
no.
like, at what point does it you talk a lot about self-confidence and ego, right, in your book. And at what point does self-confidence become ego?
That's a really good question. So ego does two things. It either
Right.
makes you believe you're the best at everything, or it makes you believe you're the worst at everything. But it wants to be the best of the best or the worst of the worst. It doesn't want to be in the middle. And
Right.
the truth is that real confidence is I'm good at some things and there's some things I'm not so good at. And so the way we stay in self-confidence is by acknowledging our strengths, developing our strengths, working on them, and realizing that some of our weaknesses will be other people's strengths, and some of other people's weaknesses will be our strengths. So I may not be able to dance, I may not be able to sing, but I like to speak and I like to share what I'm sharing. And in the same way, there'll be people in the world. That's why everyone's so complimentary. That's what's so beautiful. The world we live in is that when you recognize your
Yes.
strengths,
Sorry, I
when
think I
you
lost you there.
oh sorry.
Yeah.
When
Yeah.
you recognize your own strengths,
Yeah.
you actually learn to recognize and appreciate everyone's strengths. So that's why it's so important to get a good understanding of your strengths. And an important point with strengths is don't confuse inexperience with weakness. Don't think just because you haven't tried something that you're not good at it. So many of us just write things off because we say, oh no, I can't do that, but we've never even tried. And so I'm sure
Yeah.
there's so many things in your life that you've thought you couldn't do, but then when you try it, you realize that you can.
Yeah. True. And I think it's important to also um, learn or realize that I may be good at something, but there's always someone who is better at it out there somewhere in the world, and that kind
Yes.
of brings you a lot more humility. And
Yes.
something that I read that somebody wrote about Roger Federer was that Roger Federer he knows that he is the greatest player of all time. But
Mm-hmm.
what he does choose to be is kind.
Yeah.
He's kind about, he's confident. It's not that he's not, he knows he's good, but it's just that he chooses to be kind.
Yes.
And,
Yes.
and, uh,
Absolutely.
and I think that's great because, you have to always apply that, when no matter what you do in everything that you
Yeah.
do.
There's a quote that The Rock always shares. So The Rock, Dwayne The Rock Johnson, the
Yeah.
actor, he always shares this quote. He says, it's nice to be important, but it's more important to be nice. And so
Yeah.
he's always sharing that. And I think that people ultimately connect with us because of our character and our heart. And ego is just such a turn off as a quality.
Yeah.
But at the same time, low self-esteem is not good for us as well. And so that's
That-
why deeply understanding both of our strengths and our weaknesses, our flaws and imperfections, and also our passions and purpose, to recognize both of them is what brings us joy.
Yeah. True. Yeah. You've given me a lot to think about, so it takes me some time to move on to my question.
No, it's beautiful. This is how it should be. Everyone who's watching, what Pooja is doing is so amazing, because you sitting there and reflecting on it, that's what we all need to do more. Like the way you're responding to every question is exactly what we all need to do more. We need to just take a moment and we just need to
Yeah.
reflect and accept it, rather than like, okay, what's the next, all right, let's do the next question. And so actually what you're doing,
Yeah.
you're training us, you're teaching everyone who's watching this in how to actually process
That's,
wisdom. And that's the way it should be done. I'll give an example. The other day, I posted the book in India,
right.
to show how well it was doing and how much support I was getting from India. And someone commented saying, I can't believe the book is $329. And it's not, it's rupees or something like that. And so someone
Okay.
commented, they thought it was dollars because they were obviously not from India.
Right.
And they didn't see the rupees sign. And then someone commented and said, no, 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 that's rupees to them. Someone else commented. I didn't comment.
Yeah.
And then they said, oh, this should remind me that I need to slow down. And I thought that, like, you know, it was just such a perfect example of like how we judge so quickly, or we try and move on so quickly. But if we just take a moment to really reflect, we actually find the right answers.
Yeah, and I think, you know, your book is something.
Oh, I've lost you.
Yeah, sorry. So I think that, you know, the book, your book does that, because a book like that, I personally feel you really have to read a couple of pages and apply it in your life, you know, because,
Mm-hmm.
you know, they say knowledge is power, but I always feel that applied knowledge is power, you know, like what you,
Absolutely.
like what's the point of getting your life experiences, and if even if you take away one thing from that, it makes such a big difference in your life, you know, like
Yes.
I loved where you know, you said about it, to your to-do list, because I'm someone who loves to write, and I love writing my to-do lists, and I love that you said like add a to-be list.
Yes.
What would you like to be? Okay, and in order to do these things, what is what do you have to be,
Yes.
right? I mean,
Absolutely.
why don't you talk about it, like give me an example, I mean, what's in your book?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So for example, we say that, and this is a concept that started originating about 10 years ago, and I think it's phenomenal, but it really exists in the Gita as well. And so we're always trying to do more stuff, get more stuff done, try and meet
Yeah.
deadlines. But then we say, oh no, but why am I stressed? Why am I pressured? And it's
Yeah.
because we have to be calm as we do what we want to do. But if
Yeah.
all we're trying to do is get stuff done, then we will be rushed, or we will be hurried, or we will be stressed. So the first thing we have to ask ourselves is, what state of mind do I want to be in when I'm doing this? And actually, if I'm not going to be in the best state of mind, then maybe I should postpone it, or maybe I should do something to get myself in that state of mind. And
True.
that's a much better way of living, because then you'll be happier doing that task. But if you're always just trying to get more done, I'll give the best way of thinking about it is this. How many times do you check off everything off your to-do list, but you feel like you're not satisfied? Have you ever felt that way?
Many
You do,
times.
yeah, same. You do everything, but you don't feel satisfied. So what I say to people
Or
is,
the
it's,
other way around, where I've over planned and I've not done
yeah, that
you know,
too, that
much.
too,
Yeah.
that too.
Yeah.
And that's why the solution to both of them is asking yourself, what's the one thing I can do today that will make today feel like a success? It's not how many things I can get done. It's asking myself, what's the one thing I can do today that will make me
Yeah.
feel enthusiastic that today was a good day, and then I'll be
Yeah.
inspired for tomorrow as well.
Yeah. Yeah. True.
Yeah.
But you know, also especially because like I'm a workaholic, you know, and
I can
I
relate.
love being a workaholic. But you know, I think when I plan my to-do list, it's also like I'm always like, okay, what did I get done? What did I get done? What did I? But if I just add in my to-be list, if I added kindness for the day, or did I operate on the paradigm of love or stress? You
Yes.
know, and I can it's like a constant check that I'm keeping on
Yes.
myself,
Yes.
that did I do this, did I today, was I stressed all the time, or did I do it with kindness, did I do it with love?
Yes.
And I just think that small thing, which is going to take you 3 seconds, can really change your day and give you a
Yes.
sense of fulfillment.
I love that. Yeah, that's exactly it. It's a moment by moment check. And it may sound
Yeah.
tiring in the beginning, but actually it's really freeing in the end. It's really refreshing, because the more you keep
Yeah.
reminding yourself, the happier you are. Whereas when you allow your mind to just go where it wants, that's what drains us.
Yeah.
It's almost
You
like
know, you
a
also talk.
yeah, go on. No,
Yeah,
no,
sorry.
go on.
No, 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 it's almost
No,
like
no,
a,
go on,
no, no,
go
you were
on.
saying something, it's almost like, no, I was just thinking about something else. You know, you talk about, and I think that's, it's a very small form of meditation too. Meditation doesn't really always have to be about breathing. You know, it can be even something as small as this. And what I love about which in the book is that meditation, you talk about meditation in a very religion neutral way. a lot of people think that, oh, it's about one religion. But it's not that, is it?
No, no, meditation is an amazing practice and tool that is unified across all religions and spiritual paths. And the three types of meditation that I share are breathwork, visualization, and mantra. So mantra in India, everyone will be very aware of mantra meditation.
Yeah.
But breathwork and visualization are really powerful. And sometimes we don't realize just how powerful they can be. So visualization is one of my favorite meditations. You
Okay.
can visualize how something is going to go in your mind before you do it so that you feel less nervous and anxious. So if you're going to an event or an award show, if you're going to a meeting or a presentation you have to give at work, you can just visualize in your head, what will I do? Okay, I'll open the Zoom call. I'll remember the notes. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. You go through the process. So you don't visualize the result. You go through the process in your mind and think, what am I going to do? And when you do that, you then feel more prepared because it's almost like a dress rehearsal in your mind. It's almost like a practice run in your mind.
Right.
And so you
Right.
can visualize that. You can also visualize, let's say something happened to you in the past and you don't think you behaved in the right way. Now, I know many people who feel that they may not have said the right thing to someone that they don't speak to anymore. And it
Yeah.
may be scary to reach out to them and say it to them. And so first we can visualize saying it to them in our mind. And when we do that, it becomes easier. And then if we want to say it in person, we can also say it in person. So sometimes if I have to have a tough conversation with someone, I'll first
Yeah.
visualize it and walk through it in my mind to think about what will I say? What do I think they will feel? How will I feel when I say it? And then
Yeah.
when I do it in real life, so you're almost practicing in visualization with yourself.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. 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 It does. It
Yeah.
does.
Yeah.
Right. Which is so true. And that I think makes you um, just go through the process even more smoother. Like if
Mhm.
you're doing it for a meeting, or like you said, talking to someone. You also talk a lot about letting go and forgiveness in your book. And how important is that? Like forgiveness.
I think forgiveness is really important. And I think the most important part of that is learning to forgive our own selves. Because I
Yeah.
think that that's the hardest one that stops us from forgiving everyone. And we don't forgive ourselves for our mistakes when we were young. We don't forgive ourselves for the relationships we got into. We don't forgive ourselves for our mistakes in the workplace. And that just every time you don't forgive yourself, it's like creating a barrier towards your potential because now you're
Yeah.
stopping yourself. So you think that you're holding on to the past, but actually you're just building more blocks in your future. And so my recommendation to people is start with forgiveness of yourself. Realize that we all make mistakes, including me. All of us make mistakes. None of us are perfect, and that's absolutely fine. And that we all are just trying to learn and grow. And I think rather than every day thinking to ourselves, oh, I wish I did that. Oh, I should have done that. Oh, I got that wrong. Imagine we ended every day and just said, oh, that's what I learned today. That's
Yeah.
what I'll do differently tomorrow. That's going to stay with me. If you thought like that at the end of the day, you wouldn't sleep with stress and you wouldn't sleep with pressure.
Yeah. But what about people um, who've done wrong? You feel they've done wrong. You know,
Yeah.
like the act of forgiving them.
Yes. Yes. So anyone who's done wrong to you, the first thing you have to realize is they may never apologize. And
Yeah.
unfortunately, we live in a world where people are, even that person is not forgiven themselves. That's why they can't apologize to you because they themselves are so pained by what they've done that they don't even want to face it. And so, waiting or expecting or wishing or wanting someone to change or to apologize will mean we will never be able to forgive them because we'll be waiting for a very long time. So, the first thing we have to do is we have to give ourselves closure
Yeah.
by really asking ourselves, what is it that I need to learn from this situation? What is it about what this person did to me that I can grow so that I don't make the same mistake again of getting involved with a person that is acting in this way? And that's really all we can do in that moment is we're not forgiving that person to forgive their mistake. We're not forgiving them because we believe that what they did wasn't wrong. We forgive them because we don't
Yeah.
want to sit there every day and have this negative thought replaying. It's like saying you would never
Yeah.
keep playing a bad song to yourself, or you'd never keep watching a bad movie. But in
Yeah.
our thoughts, we keep playing the same thoughts and the bad movies in our minds about that person, which just
Yeah.
brings us down. So all we're trying to do in forgiving them is just switching off the movie, switching off the soundtrack, and saying, I want a new movie and I want a new soundtrack. That's what forgiveness is.
That's true. And that's amazing because I think then the ball's in your court, in
Yes,
terms of you're not waiting for them. It's something you can do. It's something that's within your control, and
yeah, exactly.
yeah, and you feel lighter. You feel much lighter, and it's so
You're
true though
100%
that
right.
it's so true that what you said about like the person hasn't forgiven themselves.
Yes,
Yeah. And we also hold on to so many things, and I just think it just makes you feel heavier and heavier. It's better to get rid of
definitely.
that.
Definitely. It's like, imagine life is already difficult. Life is
Yeah.
already feeling like you're walking up a mountain. And now
Yeah.
every time you keep grudges or resentment, you're just making your bag heavier and heavier and heavier.
Yeah.
And it's like, why not just empty a few things out and then allow space for new things as well?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, what's your take on finding happiness?
Hmm. So I really believe that, especially from a monk's perspective, is that the goal is to look for meaning and purpose, not to look for happiness. Because I'll give you an example. If let's look at the pandemic, for example. The lockdown has been really tough for so many people in so many different ways. And if you ask someone to look for happiness, they'll say, Jay, Pooja, you guys are crazy. Like, how do you find happiness? Like, I've someone died in my family, or I lost my
Yeah.
job, or how do I become happy about that? And that's why we can always find meaning and purpose. So I lost one of my mentors during this time, during COVID, and he actually died not from COVID but from brain cancer, stage 4 brain cancer, and he had it for a few years. And I miss him and I loved him deeply, and I can't find any happiness in losing
Yeah.
him.
Yeah.
But what I can find is meaning. So the way that you find meaning and purpose in a painful situation is that I know what he wanted me to become, and I know the qualities that he lived by. So I
Yeah.
know that if I keep trying to live by those qualities, then he's still living with me. And that if I can be of service, and if I can be uh, aspiring to all the wonderful qualities he had, then I am really doing him justice and doing his life justice. And so looking for meaning and purpose in life will be serving us in the good times and the bad times. But if we
True.
just look for happiness, then it kind of serves us in the good times, but in the bad times, it's just really hard to find.
That's amazing. And finally, I'd like to ask you that is there one thing that you would wish that someone reading your book takes away? What is like the
Yes.
one thing?
Okay. Before that, I was going to say, Pooja, what I'm most excited about is meeting you when I finally get to come to India. So
Yes,
that's what
you must.
that's what I'm really looking forward to. I'm really looking forward to getting together with you. I was so excited to meet you this year, hoping that I was going to be there. So I'm hoping we get to do that when I come next time and when it's safe. And yeah, really looking forward to connect with you in person. But
For sure. I've always seen your videos, and it's something that's been really inspiring. And I remember when I first saw the video, I was like, who's this Shetty boy? Like, what's he doing? What is this about? And it's amazing that I've got to finally do this live with you. And hopefully, once you're here, it'll be great to meet you. And thank you for waking up at 6 a.m. Guys, I have to tell you, whoever's listening out there, it's 6 a.m. where he is right
that's
now.
why I look like this. The lighting's so bad where I am right now. Look, you can see the light. It's got lighter, lighter, lighter.
Yeah, I know, but you're looking great. Doesn't look like you've woken up just now.
But
And
whatever.
I was
Yeah,
actually, I've requested him to wake up this early because I wanted more people to be present in
of
India when
course.
we do
Of
this.
course.
And so thank you so much for doing that for me.
No, you're right. And we'll do I'll interview you for my podcast when I come to India so we can do it properly and interview you about your amazing story and your amazing mind and life. But in regards to your question about what's the one thing that I want people to get from
Yeah.
the book, the one thing that I want people to get from the book is I want them to be able to discover their purpose. Because I really believe that when we find our purpose, we'll be confident, not arrogant. We'll be collaborative, not envious or jealous, and that we can start living a life that is true to us and not trying to just please anyone else. And so I really, really hope that people who read this book will discover their purpose and find their passion and be able to serve others in that way. And that would be the best thing in the world, that if we had a world that was full of purpose, then we'd be
Yes.
all better people, better parents, better partners, and we'll start to see a more compassionate, loving world.
Yeah, that's so true because if you know why you're doing what you're doing, if you have like purpose, um, you can enjoy someone else's success a little more because you
Yeah,
feel like it's great what they're doing, but I know I can
absolutely.
contribute in this particular way, and that kind of makes you a little more centered, I would say. So that's great. I think this book will do that for you guys.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's not an ad because I have to say that I've actually read the book and yeah, don't confuse that. But it's a great book and thank you so much. It's been amazing speaking to you, and
No,
I
you're
hope
so
that
wonderful. You're so wonderful. Honestly, I'm so grateful that we got to spend this time together. And honestly, I'm so grateful for us connecting. And I really look
yes,
forward to deepening our friendship as well and getting to know each other better.
yes, let's do that soon once this entire pandemic thing has kind of calmed down.
Yes,
Um,
definitely.
but have a great day
Yes,
and
thank you.
so much to everyone who's joined in too. I hope everyone's enjoyed it. And I'm just going to take one or two questions quickly
Yeah,
because a
sure.
lot of people have sent me questions.
Please.
So let me just, you know, the book's name is Think Like a Monk. Yeah. And can they buy the book in Nepal?
Yeah, I believe so. If they go to thinklikeamonkbook.com, then you'll find your local place or whatever platform you have for books in Nepal, then you'll find it on there. I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure. So you can go to thinklikeamonkbook.com. And the book's also going to be in 40 languages, including several Indian languages. So if you'd prefer to read it in an Indian language, in your native language, then please
Yeah.
look for that on Amazon as well, or the biggest channels, Flipkart and others in India, and then you'll
Yeah.
find it in your local language as well. So if you don't want to read it in English, then please go ahead and find it in your language.
Yeah, I think Amazon has it, so online it's
Yeah.
available. So I mean, if you've accessed this live, you can just go on Amazon and download the book.
Yeah.
All right, thank you so much. It was great
Amazing.
meeting you.
Thank you so
Bye.
much. Thank you, Pooja. See you soon. And save
Thank
this.
you.
Save this because I want to post it as well. Yeah.
I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna do that.
Awesome.
Bye.
Thank you so much. Bye.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye. I want a new movie and I want a new soundtrack. That's what forgiveness is.
That's true, and that's amazing because I think then the ball's in your court. In
Yes.
terms of you're not waiting for them. It's something you can do. It's something that's within your control. And
Yeah, exactly.
yeah, and you feel lighter. You feel much lighter, and it's so
You're
true though that
100% right.
what you said about like the person hasn't forgiven themselves.
Yes.
Yeah, and we also hold on to so many things, and I just think it just makes you feel heavier and heavier. It's better to get rid of
Definitely.
that.
Definitely. It's like, imagine life is already difficult. Life is
Yeah,
already feeling like you're walking up a mountain. And now
yeah,
every time you keep grudges or resentment, you're just making your bag heavier and heavier and heavier. And
Yeah.
you know, it's like, why not just empty a few things out and then allow space for new things as well?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, what's your take on finding happiness?
Hmm. So I really believe that, especially from a monk's perspective, is that the goal is to look for meaning and purpose, not to look for happiness. Because I'll give you an example. If let's look at the pandemic, for example. The lockdown has been really tough for so many people in so many different ways. And if you ask someone to look for happiness, they'll say, Jay, Pooja, you guys are crazy. Like, how do you find happiness? Like, you know, I've someone died in my family, or I lost my
Yeah.
job, or, you know, how do I become happy about that? And that's why we can always find meaning and purpose. So I lost one of my mentors during this time, during COVID. And he actually died not from COVID, but from brain cancer, stage 4 brain cancer. And he had it for a few years. And I miss him and I loved him deeply. And I can't find any happiness in losing
Yeah.
him.
Yeah.
But what I can find is meaning. So the way that you find meaning and purpose in a painful situation is that I know what he wanted me to become, and I know the qualities that he lived by. So I
Yeah.
know that if I keep trying to live by those qualities, then he's still living with me. And that if I can be of service, and if I can be uh, aspiring to all the wonderful qualities he had, then I am really doing him justice and doing his life justice. And so looking for meaning and purpose in life will be serving us in the good times and the bad times. But if we
True.
just look for happiness, then it kind of serves us in the good times, but in the bad times, it's just really hard to find.
That's amazing. And finally, I'd like to ask you that, is there one thing that you would wish that someone reading your book takes away? What is like the
Yes.
one thing?
Okay. Before that, I was going to say, Pooja, what I'm most excited about is meeting you when I finally get to come to India. So
Yes,
that's what
you must.
that's what I'm really looking forward to. I'm really looking forward to getting together with you. I was so excited to meet you this year, hoping that I was going to be there. So I'm hoping we get to do that when I come next time and when it's safe. And yeah, really looking forward to connect with you in person. But
For sure. I've always seen your videos, and it's something that's been really inspiring. And I remember when I first saw the video, I was like, who's this Shetty boy? You know, like, what's he doing? What is this about? And it's amazing that I've got to finally do this live with you. And hopefully, once you're here, it'll be great to meet you. And thank you for waking up at 6 a.m. Guys, I have to tell you, whoever's listening.